Start from here, right? The tables. In the last session, we were discussing about the classification of contracts, right? The different contracts based on validity, we can classify based on formation or creation, based on performance. These are the main three classifications. And when we were discussing about this validity, we came across this term void, voidable. Remember? Void, voidable, void ab initio. Okay. I just want to share a few more detailings on this. So let me share on this and then go for the next part. Uh, First thing I would like to discuss is between the 1 to 10 essentials. First one, I'm not going to write it. Can you help me out? The one which I listed. First one, minimum two parties. Second, consensus addendum. Okay. Third was lawful consideration. You will not find that list in Singer material. Okay. Those who have joined new, let me write it out. Can please make a note of it. This listing numbers, see, there is no particular numbering because I'm not writing the section numbers. There's no particular numbering. This is how I learned during my CMA days. That's why I'm listing in this way. Okay. So first one, minimum two parties. Second, consensus addendum. Okay, consensus addendum. If these both are there, we'll call this as an agreement. To say it's a legal agreement, we need to support about more legality and lawfulness. So there is one point with respect to lawful consideration. See, it's not legal consideration, it's lawful consideration. Legal is specific to one area. Lawful is all combined. In a wider sense, we speak. So it's lawful consideration. Next is lawful object. So as per my numbering, all these four should be present. Obviously, all the 10 should be present. All these four should be present. If it is not present, we'll call it as void ab initio. Right? Remember, these are the things we were discussing in the earlier class. Uh, Fifth point. Fifth point. Legal formalities. If not there, let's finish it off. If not there, we'll not call the contract as void or void ab initio. Instead, we'll call this contract as anybody? No, no. You can refer single material, the first classification. The first classification under the validity. This unenforceable. See, this one. Unenforceable contracts are those contracts which has technical defects. It's not void. If the defects are corrected, that is, if the defects are removed, it becomes enforceable. Example like stamped documents, under-stamped documents. So you have to do for stamping 100 rupees. You have not done it for 100 rupees. You have done for 50 rupees. So obviously they'll not say it's a void contract or anything like that. They'll just say the difference of stamping has to be done. That's a technical defect over it. Technical means in the sense here we're talking about legal defects is what the technical defects. Why we use the term technical is because act to act it differs. See, we are using the term called as legal formalities, right? Yeah, we are using the term legal formality, which means act to act it will differ. So we call this contract as not void ab initio, but instead we'll call this as unenforceable. See, so far till the last class I was grouping as only two. If 1 to 9 essentials are not present, void, which means void ab initio. If the 10th one, that is even while executive is not present, it becomes void. This is how I discussed so far. But we have to go more in-depth concept. So, fifth point, if legal formality is not there, it's only a defect, it's not a wrong one, it's only a defect. That if defect is corrected, it becomes enforceable, which means technical form, that is technical other things and whatever the things, it has to be properly present as per the law, as per the current law. So if it is not present, you call this as unenforceable. Is it okay? Sixth point, yes, you can please join. What's the sixth point? Legal relationship. Yes, we say legal relationship like husband and wife, they will not come under legal. Sorry. Husband and wife, they will not come under legal relationship and so on. Yes, what happens in this case? We call this as void ab initio. Is it okay? We call this as void ab initio. Seventh point, please. Capacity of the parties not present. Then void ab initio. Okay. Eighth point. Consent of the parties not present. Consent of the parties not present. Yes, you can find it in single material. Yes, consent of the parties not present. Please join. We'll call this as voidable. So I asked you to remember this A in front of the term voidable. Remember? So you call this as voidable contract. Okay. I just want to have a star mark placed here because in the case of consent, not all the concerns will make the contract voidable. Okay. So I'm not going in detail now. So probably after some 3 or 4 classes, I'll discuss in detail. As of now, just keep it. If the consent is not there, because it's a general law, it says if the consent is not there, it's voidable. Okay, shall I go for the ninth point? Ninth point is normal. Certainty and possibility of performance. Yes. If it is not there, we call it as void ab initio. Is it okay? Void ab initio. Okay. All these 9 points should be strictly present for a contract to be a valid one. Again, so far I was telling all the 10 points should be present. But as of now, if all the 9 points are present, a contract will become a valid contract. And what about the 10th point? Not expressly declared as void. This also should be present, which means till the execution of the contract, till the performance by both the parties, this has to be present, which means all the 9 essentials has to be present. If it is not present, it will make the contract void, not void ab initio. Okay. I don't know how many noted my words. So far I was using void ab initio, but at this current point, I was using contract will become void. So far I did not use the word contract at all because it will not be a contract at all. Only at this point it becomes void contract. Okay. So I'm trying to define these 2 points. I'm trying to define these 2 terms or points or whatever it is. Void agreement is one and void contract is another. Okay. Void agreement means from the beginning itself is not an agreement. which means what? The nature of this will be very strong, saying that it's void ab initio. Whereas void contract means 1 to 10, sorry, 1 to 9 essentials were there which make the contract valid. But when it comes to the 10th point during the execution or till the day or till the point before execution, it has become void. Okay, you will not call this as void agreement. Instead, you call this as void contract. Many will not understand the difference. Please try to understand, and if you are writing in the exams, please present it. Probably after becoming professionals also, you have to be very keen on these two words. Void agreement is different, void contract is different. If you read any case laws or if you come to understand any case happening with your company and other, in case if you're going for consulting in the future, if you go for some agreement or document and you find that these points were not there in the beginning itself, you can strongly argue there's no contract between the company and the parties. If there was the validity, which means 1 to 9 essentials were present, and after that it has become void, which means you call this as void contract. Again, you may ask me, just a word difference. Does it matter so much? Yes, definitely. When we use void ab initio, there exists no such contract between the two parties because agreement itself is not there, right? But when we use the term void contract, definitely there was an agreement and it cannot be executed. It cannot be executed because it has become void. Okay, shall I take over? Okay, now come here. So we have come across void, void agreement, void ab initio. Void ab initio is nothing but void agreement. Void contract is related to void and avoidable. I place a star mark in today's class saying that every not free consent is voidable, which means which can be done void also. I'll discuss that in future. Okay. So let me go for this tabular versions. Yes, you can please join with me. First, second, and third are quite easy. Fourth one I have to focus. First distinction is about agreement and contract. The difference between the two terms, agreement and contract, is the basic thing. Agreement means there should be minimum two parties, consensus are needed, where there will be an offer, there will be an acceptance. Yes. Obviously, there will be a promise. Once this was asked in the exam, will be there a promise in agreement? Yes, definitely. Social agreement is happening between the two parties who are related, who are in family arrangement. They are still doing a promise. But there will not be a breach. Breach in the sense that legal consequences I'm talking about. Okay. Contract means agreement which has legal enforceability. Scope, we'll talk this in wider sense because we are talking about a legal agreement, we are talking about a social agreement. Please include this. We are talking about. This is a narrow sense where we talk only about legal agreement. Legal obligation, not always, because only legal agreement will go with legal obligation. Here it's mandatory. There should be a lawful consideration. There should be a lawful object, legal formality, so on and so on. Okay. Shall I take over? Nature. All agreements are not contracts, but all contracts are agreements. This is often asked question. Okay, this is often asked question. Shall I go for the second one? Void and voidable contract. See, contract. Okay, which means which was valid and now it has become void. Please be sure. Enforceability, you cannot enforce because it has become void. Voidable, you can enforce, but the option of one party only. Let me go for the content. X and Y, two parties. X goes to Y's house, says that if you're not selling this property to me, then that's it, over with your son. Has a gunpoint. Y, no other go. He has to sign the document, else he cannot see his son alive. So without any option, what does Y do? He signs for the property as if like he's going to sell it. Okay. So if you don't know about this story, what you will think? See, I'm giving this background. You don't know about this background, and you see the document, and you see that Y has signed it. What do you think? You see, this is a valid one, right? Because you don't know about the background one, you don't know that X has threatened Y and so on and so on. So you think it's a valid one. Now what happens is, because of Y's braveness, or because he might have got a friend of police like or some police officers or some commissioners, he gets his braveness and he says that X has threatened me. That's why I signed the documents. Now I'm not interested to sell my property. Not only now, at that time itself, I am not interested to sell the property. Because he compelled, I signed the documents. Because I need to save my son. Okay. Now, because of wise move, now it has become, he's avoiding. Because of wise move, it is becoming voidable contract. Which means, can you read that line? What is present over there? Option. That's why I circled. I encircled this word. Option. It is up to Y whether he wants to continue the contract or just leave out. Just think this way. Y thinks, okay, as of now, I have a friend with me, so he may be helping me, he may be supporting me. In case if I go alone in the night, or if my son is at school, something happens to him, what I'll do? Why all these problems? Let me say, let me be safe. Let me sell off this property. It's just a property only. If he thinks it is only, it is option only. That's why it's one party. Which party? The affected party. But will in law will not use the term what is affected. We call it as agreed. Can you please make a note of this term? We'll use the term what is aggrieved party. Aggrieved party means affected party. You can make a note of this also. We call it as affected party. Okay. So far of my case, who's the aggrieved party so far? Who's the aggrieved party? Why? I'm just going to change the story. Okay. Actually, Y has a property. I'm just changing the story, but Y has a property. He wants to sell his property, but it's going for a very small rate. Okay, that's not expected rate. Probably let me fix a small amount, like probably like he's planning. He was planning for 70 lakhs, but it's not going for 50 lakhs also. Immediately he approaches X. He threatens X son. See, can you understand what I'm trying to say? I'm completely ultaing the story. Okay, so X's son is being threatened. No other go. X has to buy the property not for 50 lakhs because 50 lakhs is the market rate now. He wants to sell it for 70 lakhs, so he's approaching X and he's threatening X son so that X is now signing the documents. Okay. Now who is the agreed party? X. Now still my story is not over. If suddenly there comes a customer or client or whoever it is, he says, I'll buy a property for 1 crore. What you will do? If this is your property, what you will do? You're going to cultivate it. He's going to frame a story saying that X came home. See, this property is 1 crore rupees. He threatened me to to sell it for 50 lakh rupees. How can I sell it? He was threatening myself. Now who becomes the agreed party? See, the case is totally reversing, right? So if you go for the court, now I come for the original story. In my original story, who is the agreed party? Y. X went to Y's son. I'm going back to the original story. X went to Y's house. He was keeping his son at the gunpoint. Now Y is the agreed party. Y has the option to avoid the contract. Judge will not believe the story because X may be giving different stories. Okay. What judge will say is to X, it is your turn. Now you prove your genuinity. Probably, again, I'm just framing the story like his son, whose son, Y's son, is not in India at all at that time. Is not in India at all at that time. So what happens? This is a full story cooked by Y. So first, see this word option. At whose option? Y's option. Because Y seems to be an agreed party here. If Y gives any statement, X need not accept the same. So X has to prove his genuinity. So this is how voidable contract goes now. Is it okay? So this is about this term. See, it just seems to be like one single English word option, but there is a big story behind. Next cause is because of change in law or circumstances. Actually, when you talk about voidable contract, they say there was no free consent. Not a free consent was there. Performance, you need not to perform because it comes void. It has become void now. But what here? If not perform, yes, the other party will sue. Okay, until the judge makes a clear statement. Rights cannot exercise any rights because it becomes void, nothing is there. Here he can rescind, which means he can cancel. Can please make a note of this word? So far we have written this word, right? Revoke, repealed, subsumed. Along with this, you can make this list. Probably somewhere you make all these lists. Now we today introduce aggrieved, what is rescind, revoke, subsumed, repealed and all. Yes, can you please go through till here? We take over. Third one, it's quite an easy one. It's void contract, and illegal agreement. Illegal agreement falls under which category, Paul? Void agreement category, but still we are not discussing void agreement because void agreement includes another one case also with respect to incapability. But here we are discussing particularly with respect to illegal. On which scope, on which basis, void contract not necessarily illegal because all the essentials were there. Lawful consideration was there, etc., etc. All the essentials were there, but which was made void later. So it may not be illegal. But what happens? Illegal agreement is always void only. In fact, it's always void means what? It's void ab initio only. Okay. Nature, you can please make a note of this word. So always void means void ab initio only. Nature, change in law or circumstances. Here is not a free concern. Okay. Sorry. Here is change in law or circumstances. Just I have copied this point I had pasted here, I think. Not a free concern should not be present. Did I use any other word? Okay. Illegality. You can please make a note of this word. Illegality. Because it was illegal from the beginning. That's why. Punishment. There is no such punishment because we entered into a contract. Now it's becoming void and we cannot execute it. That's it. Goes off. But here you can actually sue. Collateral agreement. You cannot exercise any rights. And here what you can do is you can rescind. What do you mean by rescinding is cancellation. Okay. You can rescind the contract. What do you mean by collateral agreement? X and Y, we both are smugglers. We are selling opium, which is not legal in India. Unless or otherwise you have a license for this. We are selling opium, buyer and seller. I have not met you. You have not met me so far. Everything is happening through a broker B, broker A or B or whatever. If this opium buying and selling is not present, will this broker get any commission or any amount? Because of this main transaction between me and you, this broker is having a job. That's what you call as collateral. It's not main. Collateral means what? Connected to it, but it's not main. So you can please make a note of it if you want to have a colloquial terms like connected, but it's not main. Connected to the main. Okay. Okay. Shall I go for the fourth heading? Fourth heading, void agreement, void contract. Yes, we discussed just now. Void agreement, enforceability, no enforceability at all because it is void ab initio. Void contract, it was enforceable, but it now ceases to be enforceable because it has now subsequently become void. Restitution, you cannot restitute here because from the beginning it's void, but here it's possible. So again, what do you mean by the term restitution? Restitution means, I'm giving a colloquial definition, bringing back to the original state. Bringing back to the original state as if we have not entered into any contract. Okay, as if we have not entered into any contract. For example, we went through an example, right? A and B contract to marry each other and A goes mad. You remember this one? Okay, just take the same example because we need not go for too many examples. A and B contract to marry. Before this occasion or situation or whatever happens, B's dad, what he does is he transfers a property in A's name because he's going to become an in-law. So B's dad, what he does is, because he's going to marry his daughter, he's transferring his property in A's name. Till this person has gone mad, it is a valid contract only, right? Because everything was there. It was a valid contract only. And because of this person now becomes mad, this has now what? Become void contract. Okay. Now this is void, but he has got some benefits. What benefits? A has got some benefits. So this benefits has to be returned. See, bringing back to the original state. Who is the original owner? B's dad. This is what bringing back to the original states. So for a restitution to take place, 2 points per. One is we have to check whether it has become void. Void contract only we are discussing here. And second one, Not just void, but any benefits I have received because of this. If we have received any benefits, you have to return it. Uh, Let me just extend the case. In case A's dad, okay, he has now gone mad. So who will become the nominee for his property? The legal hire. A's dad only. A's dad wants to sell the property. Okay. But actually, whose property is this? Because A and B has not got married, right? Whose property is this? B's dad property is this. Immediately, B's dad files a case on the thing because it will come in encumbrance. Villangam. Okay, Villangam certificate, encumbrance certificate, it will come in that. Immediately, B's dad files a case saying that it's my property. Because they were contracted to get married, I just transfer the property because he's going to become my in-law and so on, so on. Now, this property can be sold by A's dad? No, because they'll check when this transfer has taken place. At that time, what the contract was entered between A and B, and so on. Now, the problem here is A and B has entered into a contract. What type of a contract? Express or that is written or oral? If it is oral, means who will? That's the problem. If it is oral, means who will believe? Okay, so this again becomes a problem. Again, this is in very in depth. Probably this will be dealt in court of law. As of now, it's not asked in the exam, so you need not worry. Okay, so you can please make a note of it. Practical problems you have gone through. Sorry, did I leave anything here? Yes, how it becomes void. How it becomes void agreement because essentials are not present. How it becomes void contract? Essentials were present, but because of some problems, it has become impossible. This impossibility is normal English term impossibility, not that impossible. Certainty and impossibility we have, right? Not that impossibility. Okay. Now we'll go for practical problems. Which one will discuss? Any idea? Did you go through? Second one. Second one. M promises to gift his son. I want to highlight this 1 lakh rupee if N clears JEE exam in his first attempt. N clears the exam in the first attempt, but M fails to pay 1 lakh as promised. I want to highlight this word again fails because it looks like as if he has not promised. Okay. N files a suit for recovery of the amount. N will not succeed. Why? Because son, okay, it becomes a social agreement which is not enforceable by law. Else, if you go for checking all the 10 points, yes, please join. First 2 points, yes, make it faster. Minimum two parties. Who are the two parties? A and his son. Okay. Consensus agreement, sir? Yes, obviously. He can understand first attempt. He can understand that he's going to give 1 lakh, everything is there. So this clearly said it is an agreement. Okay. Agreement again, you have to discuss in three angles: social, void, and legal. Three types. Lawful consideration is there. Again, this is a problem. What do you mean by lawful? Indian Contract Act says lawful means you have to check all the acts. Again, if you come and check over here, this becomes a social agreement. So you're going to talk about lawful agreement. So if there is no lawful consideration, we cannot talk about lawful object. And it's about just giving some 1 lakh rupee in cash. So we are not going to talk about legal formalities, legal relationship, capacity. Actually, capacity also will not be able to talk. I don't know how far he has completed 18 years of age, or I don't know. But still, you cannot talk about capacity. And consent, maybe it may be there. Consent is not about legality. Capacity is not about exactly about legality, but what law says is only if you complete 18 years of age, you become a major. So this is how we can discuss. And certainty and possibility, yes, possibility is not there because it's a social agreement. See, this word possibility is talking about an act. Okay. So this is the second one. Anything else, Pawan? Yes, can you go for the third one? If you have not gone through, can you please go for here is a person, a businessman, Mr. SS, There's a case happening between Mr. SS and Mr. RR fighting a long drawn litigation. So these two are two business people, okay? To support his legal campaign, Mr. SS enlists the service of Mr. X, who is a legal expert, slating that an amount of rupees 10 lakhs would be paid if, I want to underline this, Mr. X does not take up the brief of Mr. RR. Please highlight that line. Probably, if you get the same like questions in the exam, you can please put it in quotes also. What is happening between these two persons? So far, did you understand what is the background of this case? Who are the two persons involved here? SS and X. See, what's the first point? Minimum two parties. Who are the two parties here? Actually, these two persons, SS and R, are not in the current case. They had some other case earlier. And that case is a long-term litigation. That case is going on and on and on. So somehow SS plans to close this case. So he is approaching X, who is a legal expert, and states that if you do not take RR case, so probably I think if you go for the background of the case, X might be in a mindset to take RR case. So in case X is a legal expert, if he takes a case means then definitely RR will win. So that's why S is approaching X saying that don't take up the case. If you don't take, I'll pay 10 lakh rupees. Okay. If you don't take up the case, I'll pay 10 lakh rupees. Paying this 10 lakh rupees is a consideration for whom? See, again, you may say that when you talk about this proposal or offer, accepting is one way, that is to do and not to do. Okay. I was discussing this one, right? The neighborhood working is some going on and it damages my compound wall, so on. Okay. This is one particular case, the legal things are happening. But what happens here is if you don't take up RR case, I will give you 10 lakh rupees. So you cannot approach a legal expert and say that you don't take up the case. You don't have any rights for that. You go to a doctor and you say don't operate. You cannot do that obviously. It is his profession. Even though there's a consideration present, even though there is an object present, but the question arises whether it's lawful. No. Okay. So this is void ab initio. Void ab initio, which means from the beginning, it's void. See, this is the background happening. Now come for the current situation. What after hearing all this and because he's getting 10 lakh rupees without doing any work, X agrees. But at the end of litigation, Mr. SS refuses to pay. Okay. See, no restitution. It's void. Okay. He has got some benefits. Who? SS. Because X is not taking up the case. Can you restitute? No, because it's a void agreement. Void from the beginning. Can you able to relate it? Now come back here. Since this has become void ab initio, since this has become void agreement, even if SS files a case, X need not, X files a case on SS, SS need not pay the 10 lakh rupees. Okay, because he has not received even though he has not received, even though he has received the benefits, it is completely void agreement. Not void contract, but it's void agreement. Okay. So Mr. X agrees, but at the end of the litigation, Mr. SS refuses to pay. Here, Mr. X cannot recover the amount of 10 lakh rupees promised by Mr. SS because it is an illegal agreement and cannot be enforced by law. Close the case. Probably you might be worrying how I have to present this in the exam. I'll guide you that bit later. Please try to bring all the concepts in your mind. Then only can present it in words. So writing CMA foundation will not be a trouble. CMA inter and CA foundation, please later period will guide you. I'll guide you. So think about how to present it. So third one is a very beautiful case. And anything else you want personally to discuss in this 13 cases? Did you refer merit and merit case? Merit versus merit? See, even though you have gone through all these cases, at first instance itself, you need not understand. This happens. Sometimes you will not understand what is happening, so it will take some time. You need not worry about that. Let me go for ninth case. A mouse L's lawn without being, please highlight, without being asked by L to do so. Please try to understand what is happening. There is a lawn, a garden like. There is one person M who is laborer. He visits L's house and seeing the lawn not cleaned, he starts cleaning. Mouse means what? With the equipments they clean, right? But L did not ask to do so, which means what? There is no offer, there is no acceptance, but some working is going on. So far, what type of an agreement is this one? Agreement or contract? Quasi? What is quasi? No offer, no acceptance. Looks like quasi, but the case is still extended. L watches M doing the work, which means what? It becomes impliedness by the conduct of the parties. So it's not quasi now. See, if without your knowledge and without my knowledge, something is happening, means it's quasi. L is clearly watching M doing the work, which means what? Here is some conduct of M clearly implies it is a implied contact. Some inferredness is there. L watches M doing the work but does not attempt to stop him, which is he's not expressing to stop him. He is silently accepting. Like law says, he's silently accepting. That's why I call this as implied contract. So is L bound to pay any charges to M? Yes, definitely. L is bound to pay M a reasonable remuneration. Please highlight this one. CMA Foundation, you may not be finding trouble in writing, but you have to be very careful with these words. How much he has to pay? This is the question. Reasonable remuneration. What do you mean by reasonability? Probably this person M, as a laborer, he knows how to work and where to work and how much he's going to charge. Probably he might be claiming some amount, so that might be a reasonable one. Or this L, if he wants to check with other persons or other equal laborers, he can check. I'm having some small electrical problems at my home. I call an electrician. Okay, I don't know how much he charges. He asks me 1,500 because he did some small work for half a day. He asked me 1,500. I don't know how much to pay. Okay, immediately I'll contact you. Probably you might be an electrician, you in the sense, general sense. Okay, I may be contacting you. I may be asking you, may be an electrician or if you know your electrical friend doing electrician work and all. You say, ma'am, this 1,500 is too much, ma'am. 1,000 rupees is fine. If 1,200 also, I can give 1,500. Immediately I say, all the electricians nearby, they are charging only 1,200. I'll say 1,000 only because I don't want to pay 200 extra. So I'll say that everybody is charging 1,000. Why you charge 500 extra? So I will pay only 1,000 only because that becomes a reasonable. See, reasonability means case to case it differs. I go to a doctor. Okay, I have some dental problem. I go to a doctor. The doctor says you need to pay 500 for consulting alone. Okay, I go for another doctor. Probably I might have checked with my friends. I go and visit another doctor. He says 200. Tell me, to which doctor you visit? Depending on the problem. Okay. It's just a small decayed tooth. He's just going to pick it up. There are no issues. But he's an expert. Please try to understand the case is different. If I just say he's a dentist, then 200 and 500, 200 is okay. If it becomes a expert, root canal expert and so on. Now what's the problem here? I will not refer this doctor definitely. Why? I don't know how far he'll do it, but because he's an expert, he's charging 500, then I'll pay him. Okay. எத்தனை பல்லு கொடுக்கணும்னா அவ்வளோ எக்ஸசைஸ் நாலேஜ் this is right. Actually, I had to check each and every word. So let me come again with this problem. This is again a beautiful one. If you stop with this very first line, it may look like quasi contract because without being asked, it looks as if M and N has not yet met. But after attaching this line or this word, watches, it becomes a implied contract because some contact of the party is happening here and L is clearly watching that. It becomes an implied contract. Okay. And you have to check with this something called as reasonable remuneration. Is it okay? 11th one is somewhat a beautiful case. Can you please go through? I'm not discussing. Can you please go through? If 11th is over, you can go for 12th one. I will discuss the 12th one. He lived as a paying boarder with a family. He agreed with the members of the family to share the prize money of a newspaper competition. The entry sent by D, one prize of 750 rupees. So actually what he has to do, let me stop over here. Let me give a pause. Now what happens in this situation? Actually what he has to do here, because he has won the prize and he has already said that I will share the prize money. He has to actually share. Okay. And in the very first line, they describe D as paying boarder with the family. So he's not one of the family member. He's not coming under or falling under family arrangement. So is this a social agreement or legal agreement? We are not going to discuss the term what is wide agreement because legality is there and so on. So social or legal means it's legal only because they clearly say he is not under family arrangement. He is living there as a paying. He refused to share the amount. One, can the members of the family recover their share? Yes, there is a mutuality in the agreement between the parties, which means we say consensus addendum is present. And the parties had intended to be both. Probably can refer this case. Can please make a note of it. Simpkins versus Pace case. Can please refer this case. Okay. And 13th one is often repeated one. Let me take up the speed. This is a simple one only. A enters into a taxi, directs the driver to take him to a club. The driver refuses to take him because the trip is too short. What are the rights of A? Actually, that's a contract. Because once this person has entered into the taxi and he has directed and the trip is being short, he cannot say or he cannot refuse it. So there is a contract. Okay. Once he has entered into the taxi, Winston says it's an implied contract. And he cannot refuse it because it is too short. Okay. Actually, I want to discuss the very first one because I'm not going for a new topic today. I'll close with this one, okay? G invites F. Who's F? There's this describing. Who's F here? He's an actor and he's very popular among the children for his acts also. To his son, H's birthday party. So, who are the two parties involved here? G and F only. H is not involved. H name is there. Because of his birthday only, they are arranging or they are entering into a contract or whatever. He's not cutting the cake and all. So, this is all the things happening. G got fed up, enraged with F's behavior, wanted to sue for loss incurred in making all those special arrangements. And the party is also spoiled. G seeks your advice. It's actually a social agreement. I'm trying to highlight all these words. Let me go in this color. Assets, promises, okay, making special arrangements, whatever it is. Don't get confused with the words. If I offer something you accept it, that need not become contract, right? Please try to understand what is a contract. We need to have all the essentials, validity for a contract to be valid. Because just accepting the invitation, it will not become a contract. Because he's promising to attend the party, it will not become a contract. Where's the consideration? Okay. And we say he's a popular actor. Even though he's a popular actor, he may be expecting something, right? Again, if you make a note of the descriptions given by that persons, F is described properly. What about G? There is no description about G. Okay. See, G is a popular producer and F is being invited here. There is no such thing given over here. So we cannot say they have been committed like, and if they are not committed means, if they are committed means there should be some consideration. Nothing is meant about the consideration. So we cannot go for an assumption that this is legal because of the terms acceptance and it's not acceptance, it's just normal English term accept. Because of this accept or promises, you cannot just assume yourself that this is a legal agreement also. So even though he had made some special arrangements, she cannot sue F for loss. It lacks the intention to create legal relationship. Is it okay? So you can please make a note of it. Yes, but if you want anything to discuss or if you want me to discuss anything on any particular case, I think only 13 cases, right? Almost I discussed 6 plus, I think. Okay, in the next class, we'll be discussing on offer and acceptance. Okay. If anything you want me to discuss, I'll stay connected, please.